The smartwatch notification lit up at 2:47 a.m., and I knew my marriage was over. Not because Tessa was awake. She'd been having insomnia for weeks now. Not because her phone was buzzing with late-night texts. That had become routine. But because the message preview, synced automatically to my tablet through our shared Apple ID, showed me exactly what kind of hardware upgrade my wife had been discussing with her ex-boyfriend. Can't wait to feel you inside me again, Liam. Owen's working late tomorrow. Come over at 8. I'm Owen Hale, 34 years old, network engineer for a mid-sized tech firm in suburban Phoenix. I troubleshoot servers for a living, but apparently I'd been ignoring the biggest system failure of all, my own marriage. As I stared at that glowing screen in our king-sized bed, listening to Tessa's fake sleeping sounds beside me, I felt something cold and calculating click into place in my chest. Time to debug this relationship. Permanently. The next morning, Tessa bounced around our smart home kitchen like nothing had happened. She wore her favorite HR coordinator outfit, the navy blazer that made her feel powerful, the pencil skirt that showed off legs that used to wrap around me instead of my replacement. "Coffee's ready, babe," she chirped, not looking up from her phone. Always that damn phone. "I'm grabbing drinks with Leah after work, so don't wait up." Leah. Her work friend and enabler, the one who'd been covering for this affair since day one. I'd seen their group chat messages too, screenshots of Liam's shirtless gym photos, discussions about upgrading from dial-up to broadband, jokes about how I was good for tech support, but not much else. "Sounds great," I said, sipping my coffee and watching her thumbs fly across the screen. "Big day at the office?" "Just the usual HR drama. You know how it is." She finally looked up, and for a split second, I saw something flicker across her face. Guilt? Fear? Hard to tell. "What about you?" "System maintenance, cleaning up some corrupted files." She nodded absently, already back to texting, probably coordinating tonight's rendezvous with Liam Brenner, her college ex who'd slithered back into her life 6 months ago. Married himself, with 2 kids, but apparently that hadn't stopped him from sniffing around my wife like a dog in heat. After Tessa left for work, I spent my morning doing what I do best, gathering data. Our smart home was a network engineer's dream, with every device logged and monitored. Ring doorbell footage showed Liam's BMW in our driveway 3 times in the past 2 weeks. Nest thermostat logs revealed temperature spikes in our bedroom during my work hours. Even our Amazon Echo had recorded fragments of their conversations. "Alexa, play our playlist," Tessa's voice from last Tuesday. Then Liam's deeper tone. "God, I missed this, missed you." I saved everything to an encrypted drive. Screenshots, audio files, video clips, location data from Tessa's phone. A complete forensic reconstruction of my wife's betrayal, documented with the same methodical precision I used to track down network intrusions at work. My phone buzzed. Jace, my buddy from the IT department. "Dude, drinks tonight? Sarah's been asking when you and Tessa are coming over for dinner." Sarah, Jace's wife, one of Tessa's newer friends, another HR coordinator at a different company, another enabler in this growing network of deception. I'd seen the group chat. Tessa had been bragging about her side project to half the HR community in Phoenix. "Rain check," I texted back. "Got some debugging to finish." By 6 p.m., I had everything organized in a presentation folder labeled Network Security Breach, Immediate Action Required. 47 pieces of evidence cross-referenced and time-stamped. If this were a corporate investigation, heads would roll. Lucky for me, it was about to be exactly that. I sat in my home office, surrounded by 3 monitors and enough computing power to run a small company, waiting for my wife to come home and lie to my face one more time. The house felt different now, not like a home, but like a crime scene I was documenting. At 7:15, Tessa's BMW pulled into the driveway. She walked in carrying takeout from our favorite Thai place, the same restaurant where we'd had our first date 8 years ago. "Thought you might be hungry?" she said, setting the bags on our granite countertop. Pad thai, extra peanuts, just how you like it. The guilt meal. Classic cheater behavior. Thanks, babe. How was drinks with Leah? Oh, you know, just girl talk, complaining about work, gossiping about office drama. She moved around the kitchen with practiced casualness, but I caught her checking the time on her phone. 7:23. Liam was supposed to arrive in 37 minutes. Actually, she continued, Leah's having some relationship issues. I might need to go back over there later just to talk her through it. There it was. The setup. The lie that would give her 3 hours with Liam while I sat home like an idiot, eating takeout and wondering why my marriage felt so empty. That's sweet of you, I said, taking a bite of pad thai that tasted like cardboard. You're such a good friend. She smiled, and for a moment she looked like the woman I'd married. Before the promotion to HR coordinator went to her head, before she started viewing people as assets to be managed and manipulated, before she decided I was obsolete hardware that needed replacing. I try to be, she said softly. At 7:55, she kissed my forehead and headed for the door. Don't wait up. This might take a while. I waited until her taillights disappeared down our street, then opened my laptop and began typing. Subject, urgent, HR policy violation requiring immediate investigation. 2. Director of Human Resources, Pinnacle Solutions. CC, Legal Department, Pinnacle Solutions. Dear Ms. Rodriguez, I am writing to report serious policy violations by one of your HR coordinators that require immediate investigation. Attached, you will find documented evidence of... My fingers flew across the keyboard, crafting the email that would detonate Tessa's career like a logic bomb. Professional, factual, devastating. I included screenshots of her using company resources to coordinate personal affairs, audio recordings of her mocking company policies, and a detailed timeline showing how she'd been conducting her relationship during work hours. But I didn't send it. Not yet. Instead, I opened a new browser window and navigated to the website for Pinnacle Solutions' annual HR conference, happening tomorrow morning. Tessa would be there, along with 200 other HR professionals from across the Southwest, including Liam, who worked for a competing firm and would be presenting on ethical leadership in human resources. The irony was so thick, I could taste it. I spent the next hour crafting a second email, this one to the conference organizers. A last-minute presentation proposal about case studies in HR misconduct, complete with multimedia evidence and real-world examples. I attached my documentation, requested a prime speaking slot, and hit send. Then I sat back in my ergonomic office chair and smiled for the first time in months. Tomorrow, Tessa would get her network upgrade, a complete system overhaul that would leave her previous configuration permanently corrupted. My phone buzzed with a text from her. Leah's really going through it. Might be here until midnight. Love you. Love you too, I replied. Take care of your friend. At 11:30 p.m., my Ring doorbell captured Liam sneaking out our back gate, his hair messed up and his shirt untucked. At 11:47, Tessa's BMW pulled into the driveway. She crept into our bedroom, slipped into the shower, and climbed into bed smelling like hotel soap and another man's cologne. How's Leah? I asked in the darkness. Better now, Tessa whispered, curling up against my back. Thanks for understanding. I lay there listening to her breathing even out, feeling her wedding ring press against my shoulder, and planned the complete destruction of everything she'd built. The Phoenix Convention Center buzzed with the energy of 200 HR professionals networking over coffee and continental breakfast. I sat in the back of Conference Room B, wearing my best suit and a visitor's badge that identified me as Owen Hale, guest speaker. Tessa stood near the registration table, laughing with a group of colleagues. She looked confident and polished in her power outfit, the same blazer she'd worn yesterday, the same fake smile she'd been giving me for months. She had no idea I was there. Liam held court across the room, surrounded by admirers listening to his thoughts on ethical leadership. Tall, handsome, and married to a woman who had no clue her husband was screwing my wife in hotel rooms during lunch breaks. My phone showed 17 missed calls from the conference organizers, all received after they'd reviewed my presentation materials at 6 a.m. Too late to cancel now. I was already on the printed schedule, and the AV team had loaded my slides into the system. "Ladies and gentlemen," the conference coordinator announced, "please take your seats for our next session, Network Security in Human Resources, a case study in real-time investigation." Tessa glanced at the program, frowning slightly. This wasn't the session she'd expected. She took a seat in the third row, directly in my line of sight. I walked to the podium, adjusted the microphone, and looked out at the sea of faces. 200 HR professionals who were about to witness the most comprehensive employee misconduct presentation of their careers. "Good morning," I began, my voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through my veins. "My name is Owen, and I'm a network security engineer. Today I'm going to show you what happens when HR policies are violated, and how digital forensics can expose even the most carefully hidden misconduct." A few people shifted in their seats. Tessa's face had gone pale. "Let's start with a case study," I continued, clicking to my first slide. A mid-level HR coordinator at a major firm, married, well-regarded, trusted with sensitive employee information. But our investigation revealed a pattern of policy violations that put her entire company at risk. The slide showed a redacted organizational chart of Pinnacle Solutions. Tessa's hand flew to her throat. "Our subject used company resources for personal communications, conducted inappropriate relationships during work hours, and shared confidential information with external parties." Click. Here's the digital evidence. The screen filled with screenshots of Tessa's work computer activity, her personal emails sent from company servers, her calendar showing client meetings that were actually hotel rendezvous, her company credit card charges at restaurants where she'd been wining and dining Liam. Someone in the audience gasped. Tessa started to stand, but her legs seemed to give out. "But the most interesting aspect of this case," I continued, "is how the misconduct spread through professional networks. Our investigation revealed that multiple HR coordinators knew about the violations and failed to report them." New slide. Screenshots of the group chat between Tessa, Leah, and 3 other HR coordinators. Messages joking about covering for each other, sharing tips on managing husbands, and explicit discussions about Tessa's affair. This network of complicity created a culture where policy violations were not just ignored, but actively encouraged. I could see Leah in the audience, her face buried in her hands. 2 other women I recognized from the group chat were frantically gathering their things. "Now, you might wonder about the ethics of this investigation," I said, advancing to my next slide. All evidence was gathered through legal means, shared devices, public records, and voluntary communications. No privacy laws were violated. The slide showed a legal brief I'd prepared, citing every relevant statute and court case. I'd done my homework. The subject's behavior didn't just violate company policy, it created liability issues, compromised security protocols, and damaged professional relationships throughout the industry. Click. A photo of Liam's BMW in my driveway, timestamp clearly visible. The external party involved was also married, creating additional complications for both companies involved. I looked directly at Liam, who had gone white as printer paper. His company's logo appeared on the screen, along with their ethics policy and a detailed timeline of his visits to my home. This case demonstrates why HR policies exist and why violations must be addressed swiftly and thoroughly. I clicked to my final slide. The investigation is ongoing, but preliminary findings have been shared with all relevant parties. The slide showed the email I'd sent to Pinnacle Solutions' legal department at 7 a.m., copying their CEO, board of directors, and general counsel. A similar email had gone to Liam's company, along with a courtesy copy to his wife's divorce attorney. Are there any questions? The room was silent. Tessa sat frozen in her chair, tears streaming down her face. Liam had disappeared, probably to the parking garage to throw up or call his lawyer. An older woman in the front row raised her hand. What was the outcome for the employee in question? Immediate termination, I replied, along with forfeiture of benefits, stock options, and positive references. The company is also pursuing recovery of funds spent on personal activities. Another hand. What about the external party? Similar consequences at his firm, plus potential civil action for interference with business relationships. I paused. His wife filed for divorce this morning. The conference coordinator appeared at my elbow, whispering urgently. I nodded and returned to the microphone. That concludes our presentation. Thank you for your attention, and remember, in the digital age, every action leaves a trace. I gathered my materials and walked out of the conference room, leaving behind 200 stunned HR professionals and one completely destroyed marriage. In the parking garage, I found Tessa sitting in her BMW, sobbing into her hands. I tapped on the window. We need to talk, I said when she rolled it down. Owen, No. My voice was calm, controlled. You can't explain this. You can't fix this. You can't manipulate your way out of this. She looked up at me with mascara-streaked cheeks. Please, I made a mistake. I love you. You love the stability I provided. The house, the lifestyle, the safety net while you played around with your ex-boyfriend. I leaned down to her window level. But that network is permanently offline. What do you want? What can I do? Nothing. You're fired, Tessa, from your job, from our marriage, from the life you've been taking for granted. I straightened up. I'll be at the house until Friday to pack my things. After that, you can figure out how to pay the mortgage on unemployment benefits. I started to walk away, then turned back. Oh, and Tessa, your friend Leah got fired too. Turns out her company doesn't appreciate HR coordinators who enable policy violations. You might want to find some new friends. The house felt like a museum when I returned from the conference. Everything exactly as we'd left it that morning, but the context had changed completely. These weren't our things anymore. They were evidence in the dissolution of a marriage, assets to be divided in divorce court. I spent the afternoon boxing up my office equipment while my phone buzzed with increasingly frantic messages from Tessa. Please call me. We can work this out. I'm sorry. I'll do anything to fix this. Don't throw away 8 years of marriage. Owen, please, I love you. I turned off the phone and kept packing. At 4:30, Jace showed up with his pickup truck and a cooler of beer. Dude, he said, surveying the boxes in my office. I saw the conference live stream. That was brutal. It was necessary. Sarah's been texting me all day. Apparently the entire Phoenix HR community is losing their minds. 3 people got fired, 2 companies are conducting internal investigations, and someone's already made a meme out of your presentation. He showed me his phone, a screenshot of my slide about digital evidence with the caption, "When your husband is an IT guy and you cheat." It's going viral, Jace continued. Sarah says Tessa's basically unemployable now. No HR department in the city will touch her. Good. That had been the plan. We loaded my computers and servers into his truck, along with boxes of cables, hard drives, and networking equipment. 8 years of building a smart home, reduced to cardboard boxes in 30 minutes. Where are you going to stay? Jace asked as we secured the load. Extended stay America for now. I'll find an apartment once the divorce is finalized. You could crash with us. Sarah wouldn't mind. I gave him a look. Sarah was in the group chat, Jace. She knew about the affair. His face fell. Shit. Really? Really? Check her phone if you don't believe me. He was quiet for a moment, processing the implications. How many people knew? Half the HR coordinators in Phoenix, apparently. It was like a professional networking group for cheating wives. We finished loading in silence. As Jace drove away with my old life in the back of his truck, I saw Tessa's BMW turning into our neighborhood. Time for the final conversation. She walked into the house like she was entering a crime scene, looking around at the empty shelves and missing furniture. "You're really leaving," she said. "I left this morning. I'm just collecting my assets." "Owen, please, can we talk about this like adults?" I laughed, a harsh sound that echoed in our half-empty living room. "Adults? You want to talk about this like adults?" "Yes." "Okay. Let's be adults." I pulled out a folder from my briefcase. "Here's the divorce petition. I filed it this afternoon. Irreconcilable differences, with supporting documentation of adultery." Her hands shook as she flipped through the pages. "You can't just—" "I can. I did. You'll be served officially on Monday, but I thought you should have a heads up." I sat down on our leather couch, my leather couch, purchased with my salary while she was spending her paycheck on hotel rooms and lingerie. "You have 30 days to respond." "What about the house?" "What about it? It's in my name, purchased before we were married. You have no legal claim." "But I live here. I've been paying the utilities, the groceries." "With money from a job you no longer have, thanks to your own choices." I leaned back, studying her face. "You should probably start looking for somewhere else to live." She sank into the chair across from me, the same chair where she'd been texting Liam just 2 days ago. "I can't afford rent without my job, and no one will hire me after what you did today." "That's not my problem anymore. How can you be so cold? We were married for 8 years. And you spent the last 6 months of those 8 years sleeping with your ex-boyfriend in our bed while I was at work." I stood up, done with this conversation. Cold doesn't begin to cover how I feel about you right now. It didn't mean anything. It was just what? Just closeness? Just fun? Just completely destroying our marriage for a few hours of nostalgia with some loser who's cheating on his own wife? Tessa started crying again, the same manipulative tears she'd been using to get her way since college. They'd stopped working on me about 6 months ago, right around the time she started staying late at the office. "I made a mistake," she sobbed. "People make mistakes. Mistakes are forgetting to pay a bill or missing an anniversary. What you did was make a series of calculated decisions to betray our marriage, humiliate me, and risk both our careers for some mediocre dick from your past." She flinched at the language. "Good. And the worst part," I continued, "is that you were so arrogant about it. The group chats, the jokes about upgrading your hardware, the comments about me being good for tech support but not much else. You didn't just cheat on me, Tessa. You made me a laughingstock." "I never said those things." I pulled out my phone and played one of the audio recordings, her voice clear as day. "Owen's sweet, but he's like dial-up internet, reliable but slow. Liam's more like fiber optic, fast, exciting, and way more satisfying." Her face crumpled. "You recorded me?" "I documented everything, every lie, every joke, every time you came home smelling like another man and kissed me goodnight." I put the phone away. "I treated this like a network security investigation because that's what it was. You were a threat that needed to be neutralized. I'm your wife. You were my wife. Now you're just another terminated user account." I picked up my last box of belongings and headed for the door. Tessa followed me, pleading. "Where am I supposed to go? What am I supposed to do?" "I don't know and I don't care. Call Liam. Oh, wait. His wife changed the locks and froze his credit cards. Call Leah. Oh, wait. She got fired too and probably blames you for destroying her career." I loaded the box into my rental car and turned back to face her one last time. "You know what the really sad part is, Tessa? If you'd just asked for a divorce, I would have been reasonable. We could have split things fairly, stayed civil, maybe even been friends eventually. But you chose to lie and cheat and humiliate me instead. So now you get to live with the consequences of those choices." "Owen, please." "The locks will be changed tomorrow. Your things will be on the front porch. Don't try to contact me except through lawyers." I got in my car and drove away, leaving my cheating wife standing in the driveway of a house she could no longer afford, in a neighborhood where everyone now knew exactly what kind of person she really was. In my rearview mirror, I watched her collapse onto the concrete, sobbing like her world had just ended. Because it had. 3 weeks later, I was settling into my new apartment when Jace called with an update. "Dude, you need to hear this. Sarah finally told me everything." I put down my coffee and leaned back in my new recliner, a leather chair I'd bought to replace the one Tessa had contaminated with her lies. "I'm listening." The group chat was worse than you thought. It wasn't just Phoenix HR coordinators. They had connections in Denver, Austin, San Diego, like a whole network of married women cheating on their husbands and sharing tips on how to get away with it. Jesus. It gets better. After your conference presentation went viral, companies started investigating their own HR departments. Turns out your little exposé triggered a nationwide audit. 12 people have been fired so far, and 3 companies are facing lawsuits from betrayed spouses. I smiled, imagining the chaos rippling through corporate America. What about Tessa? Living with her sister in Tucson. Apparently she applied for unemployment benefits, but the state denied her claim because she was terminated for cause. She's working at a Target now part-time. Target. From HR coordinator making $65,000 a year to retail associate making minimum wage, the career equivalent of a complete system crash. And Liam? Oh, that's the best part. His wife didn't just divorce him, she went scorched earth, took the kids, the house, half his retirement fund, and then started a blog about recovering from infidelity. It's called Married to a Cheater, and she posts screenshots of all his dating app profiles. He's on dating apps already? Multiple apps, but here's the thing. Your presentation is the first result when you Google his name. No one will date him. His own divorce attorney dropped him after the blog posts went viral. I felt a warm satisfaction spreading through my chest. Complete network annihilation, exactly as designed. There's more, Jace continued. Remember how you sent all that evidence to the company's legal departments? Pinnacle Solutions is suing Tessa for misuse of company resources, and they're going after Liam's firm for corporate espionage. Apparently, some of those hotel meetings involved sharing confidential client information. Better and better. I'd built a logic bomb that was still exploding months after deployment. How's Sarah handling all this? I asked. Jace was quiet for a moment. We're in counseling. Turns out she didn't just know about Tessa's affair. She was having her own thing with some guy from her CrossFit gym. The whole group chat was like a support network for cheating wives. I'm sorry, man. Don't be. I'm glad I found out. We might work it out, we might not. But at least I know the truth now. He paused. Thanks for that, by the way. If you hadn't blown up that whole network, I might have stayed married to a liar for another 10 years. After we hung up, I sat in my apartment looking out at the Phoenix skyline. 34 years old, divorced, starting over in a studio apartment with IKEA furniture. 6 months ago, that would have terrified me. Now it felt like freedom. My laptop chimed with a new email. The sender made me smile. Phoenix Tech Professionals Association. Mr. Hale, we would like to invite you to speak at our upcoming conference on cybersecurity and digital forensics. Your recent presentation on HR network security has generated significant interest in our community. I opened a new browser window and started researching the conference. 2,000 attendees, major corporate sponsors, and a keynote slot that would establish me as an expert in digital investigation. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Owen, this is Tessa. I know you don't want to hear from me, but I wanted to say I'm sorry. I know that doesn't fix anything, but I needed you to know. I hope you're happy. I stared at the message for a long moment, then deleted it without responding. Some networks, once corrupted, couldn't be restored. The only option was a complete wipe and fresh installation. I opened my laptop and started preparing my next presentation. Digital Forensics in Personal Relationships, a case study in network security. time to share my expertise with a wider audience. 6 months after the divorce was finalized, I was debugging a server farm in downtown Phoenix when my phone rang. Unknown number, but I recognized the area code. Tucson. Hello? Owen? It's Tessa. I almost hung up, but something in her voice stopped me. She sounded different, smaller. What do you want, Tessa? I need to ask you a favor. I know I have no right, but you're right, you don't. Please, just listen. My sister is getting married next month and she wants me to be her maid of honor. But the wedding planner Googled my name and found all the articles about the conference. They're threatening to drop the venue if I'm in the wedding party. I leaned back in my office chair, processing this information. And? I was wondering if you could, make a statement or something. Say that we've moved past it, that you don't hold grudges. Maybe it would help people forget. The audacity was breathtaking. Even now, months later, she was asking me to manage the consequences of her choices. Let me get this straight, I said. You want me to help rehabilitate the reputation you destroyed by cheating on me, so your sister can have a nice wedding. When you put it like that, that's the only way to put it, Tessa. You made your bed literally and figuratively. Now you get to lie in it. Owen, please, this isn't about me. It's about my sister. She's never done anything wrong. Then maybe she should choose a different maid of honor. Silence on the line. I could hear her crying, but it didn't affect me the way it used to. Those tears had lost their power the night I found her messages. I've lost everything, she whispered. My job, my friends, my husband. I'm 32 years old, living with my sister, working retail for $12 an hour. Don't you think I've been punished enough? No, I said simply. I don't. What would it take? What do you want from me? I considered the question seriously. What did I want from the woman who'd spent months humiliating me, lying to me, and planning a future that didn't include me? I want you to understand something, Tessa. The consequences you're facing aren't punishment. They're just the natural result of your choices. You didn't lose your job because I'm vindictive. You lost it because you violated company policy. You didn't lose your friends because I'm cruel. You lost them because you involved them in your deception and they got fired too. But the presentation, the public humiliation, was a direct response to months of private humiliation. You made me a joke in your group chats, Tessa. You mocked our marriage to strangers. You used our home as a hotel for your affair while I was working to pay for it. My voice stayed calm, professional. Every action I took was a logical response to the situation you created. I know. I know I was wrong. I've had 6 months to think about it, and I know I destroyed everything good in my life for something that meant nothing. It meant something to you at the time. It meant more than our marriage. No, it didn't. I was just, bored, stupid. I felt old and invisible, and Liam made me feel young again. And now you feel old and invisible and unemployed. She laughed bitterly. Yeah, that about sums it up. I looked around my new office, a corner space with floor-to-ceiling windows, the result of a promotion I'd received after my cybersecurity presentation made the company famous. My expertise in digital forensics had become a valuable asset, and I was making more money than ever. Tessa, I'm going to tell you something, and I want you to really hear it. I don't hate you anymore. I don't think about you at all most days. You're just a problem I solved and moved on from. That's worse than hating me. Maybe, but it's honest. I saved my work and closed my laptop. I'm not going to help you rehabilitate your reputation. I'm not going to make statements about forgiveness or moving forward. You made choices, and those choices have consequences. That's how the world works. So that's it? You're just going to let me suffer forever? I'm not letting you do anything, Tessa. I'm not involved in your life anymore. What happens to you from here is entirely up to you. I hung up before she could respond. That evening, I was having dinner at a new restaurant downtown when a woman approached my table. Mid-30s, professional dress, confident smile. Excuse me, are you Owen Hale, the network security guy? I nodded, wondering if this was about to become awkward. "I'm Jennifer Walsh. I saw your presentation at the tech conference last month. I wanted to thank you." "Thank me?" "Your talk inspired me to do some digital forensics of my own. Turns out my husband was having an affair with his secretary. Very original, right?" She smiled, but there was steel in her eyes. "I used your techniques to document everything, and my lawyer says it's the most comprehensive evidence package he's ever seen." "I'm sorry you had to go through that." "Don't be. I'm better off knowing the truth." She handed me a business card. "I'm starting a consulting firm, digital investigation services for divorce cases. I was wondering if you'd be interested in partnering with me. There's a huge market for this kind of work." I looked at the card. Walsh Investigations, with a tagline that made me smile. "The truth is in the data." That's an interesting proposition. Think about it. You've already proven the concept works. Why not help other people get the same kind of justice you got? After she left, I sat in the restaurant thinking about her offer, a consulting firm specializing in exposing cheaters and liars, using my technical skills to help other betrayed spouses get the evidence they needed for divorce court. It had a certain poetic justice to it. My phone buzzed with a text from Jace. "Saw the news about Liam. Dude got arrested for stalking his ex-wife. Apparently he's been showing up at her work, following her to the grocery store. She got a restraining order." I shook my head. Some people never learned. Liam had lost everything: his marriage, his kids, his career, his reputation, and instead of accepting responsibility, he was doubling down on destructive behavior. The difference between him and me was simple. When my world collapsed, I rebuilt it better. When his world collapsed, he tried to drag everyone else down with him. I pulled out Jennifer's business card and sent her a text. "I'm interested. Let's talk." 3 hours later, we were sitting in my apartment, sketching out a business plan for Walsh Hale Digital Investigations, a boutique firm specializing in marital investigations, corporate misconduct, and digital forensics. "We'll need to be careful about the legal aspects," Jennifer said, making notes on her laptop. "But there's definitely a market for this. I've gotten 12 referrals just from word of mouth about my divorce case." "What's our target client?" "Suspicious spouses, mostly, but also small businesses dealing with employee theft, law firms needing digital evidence, insurance companies investigating fraud." She looked up from her screen. "The beauty is, once we establish a reputation, the work will come to us." We spent the next 2 hours working out the details: office space, equipment needs, marketing strategy, fee structure. By midnight, we had the framework for a business that could be operational within 60 days. "One more thing," Jennifer said as she gathered her papers. "I want to be clear about something. This isn't about revenge. It's about truth. We're not helping people destroy their ex-spouses. We're helping them get accurate information so they can make informed decisions." "Agreed. We're digital investigators, not hired assassins," she smiled. "Although, sometimes the truth can be pretty devastating." "The truth usually is." After Jennifer left, I stood on my balcony, looking out at the city lights. 18 months ago, I'd been a network engineer with a cheating wife and a failing marriage. Tonight, I was an entrepreneur with a promising new business and a reputation as an expert in digital forensics. My phone chimed with an email notification. The sender made me laugh. Tessa's sister. "Mr. Hale, I know this is presumptuous, but I wanted to reach out about my sister. She's been through a lot, and I was hoping we could talk." I deleted the email without reading the rest. Some networks stayed corrupted no matter how many times you tried to restore them. The only solution was to disconnect them completely and build something new. I opened my laptop and started working on the website for Walsh Hale Digital Investigations. Our tagline would be simple: "When you need to know the truth," because in my experience, the truth was the most powerful weapon in the world, and I'd gotten very good at finding it.